All right, Department of Energy Fundamental Handbook, Instrument and Control Module 3 level of detectors. Level detectors. Gauge glass, very simple to me, with which with liquid level with the vessel with the gauge glass method with the gauge glass method with the transparent tube. There's attached at the bottom on the top. It's to the bottom on the top. The connection no need in the tank to open. Not needed in tank open into atmosphere on the over the tank is monitored. The height of the liquid in the tube will equal the light height of the water in the tank. Figure 1 shows the transparent tube, the calibrated scale, the transparent tube. Figure 1 shows the gauge glass, which should give the vessel which liquidated ambient temperature with the pressure condition. Figure 1b shows the gauge glass, with which using the vessels where liquid is elevated with the pressure partial vacuum. Notice that the gauge glass is in Figure 1 effectively a U-tube manometer where the liquid seeks the own level due to the pressure liquid in the vessel. Gauge glass made with the tubular glass with the plastic with the surface up to 450 to 4 psi gallon up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. The desired measure for the level of the vessel with a high temperature and pressure. The different tip of the glass is glass gauge. The typical gas gauge is utilized with the instant of the body with the metal with the heavy glass with the quartz section with the visual observation liquid level of the glass section usually flat and provides strength and safety. Figure 2 illustrates the typical transparency. Show the chamber gasket, the glass, and the bolt back cover, cushion, and front cover. Another type of the gauge glass is the reflective gauge glass. In this Figure 3, within this type of the one side of the glass section, the prism shape of the glass with the module, such as one side with the 90-degree angle within the run lengthwise, light rays strike the outer surface of the glass at 90-degree angle with the ray travel to the glass strike with the inner side of the glass with a 45-degree angle with the presence of the absent liquid in the chamber. Determines the light rays refracted with the chamber that reflect with the back and the outer surface of the glass. Show the U-bolt, a gasket, a chamber, the prism, and gasket, glass, and cover. With the liquid and intermediate level within gauge glass with the light ray within common with the air gauge glass interfering with the one portion of the chamber with the water glass interfering with the other portion of the chamber with the air glass and interfering with the light waves reflect with the back to the outer with the surface of the glass and with the critical angle with the light passes from the air glass is 42 degrees with the cause of the gauge glass with the appearance level the white with the portion of the chamber with the water glass interfering with the light with the reflective of the chamber with the prism reflection of the light back to the outer surface of the gauge glass does not occur because of this critical angle with the light. Its path with the glass water is 62 degrees with the result with the glass appears black, and since it is possible to see through the water wall of the chamber will be painted black. The third type of the glass gauge with the refraction type with the Figure 4, but the type is especially useful in the air with the reduced lighting. Lighting will usually attack with the gas gauge operation based on the principle of the bending of light with the refraction of the different light and passes through. The various media of light is bent with the refraction of the greater extent of the water within the stream of the portion of the chamber that contained with the stream of the light ray with the red travel relatively straight with the red of the lines illuminated the portion of the chamber that contained with the water with the light rays that are bent with the color of the gauge angles and lenses to be illuminated with the portion of the gauge contained with the water appear with the given the portion of the gauge from the level upward appear with the red. Alright, this shows the light, the chamber, the gauge, the window, the red lens, and the green lens. Refraction gauge light, gauge glass, overhead view. Alright, now for your ball float. Ball float method is direct reading the liquid level of the mechanism for the most practical design for the float with a hollow metal ball with a sphere with a however there's no sugar inside with the shape of the material with the design. Give the ball float with a attach with the rod with the term with the connect with the rotating shaft with the indicated level of the calibrated scale. The operation with the ball float is simple. The ball float with the top of the liquid of the tank. If the liquid level chamber of the float will follow within chamber the position of the pointer attached with the rotating shaft. This show the ball float with the connecting arm, the shaft, the stuffing box, the vessel penetration calibration scale. The travel over the ball float is limited in its design between 30 and plus positive and negative 30 degrees with a horizontal plane with vertical optimum respond to the performance of the actual level of range determined by the length of the connecting arm. The stuffing box is incorporated with a watertight seal around the shaft to prevent leakage from the vessel. or your chain flow. The type of the flow with the gauge for the float range with the side with the 12-inch for the diameter, and you where the small limitations imposed with the ball floats must be exceeded with the range for the level dimension for the be limited only size of the vessel operation with the chain float, similar to the ball float, except that the method of the position of the pointer is in connection with the position indicated for the float is connected with the rotating element by the chain for the, with a weight attached to the other end, provided the means of the keeping the chain taut during the change in level. Figure 6. Figure 6 shows the chain float level, the water, the flow, the weight, and the magnetic bond method. The magnetic bond method developed to overcome the problems of the cage of the stuff in the box of the magnetic bond method. Consider the magnetic float with the rise of the fall of the chain with the level of the float travel to the outside of the magnetic tube, which houses the inner magnet of the level indicated with the flow with the rise and fall of the outer magnet will attract the inner magnet, cover the inner magnet to follow with the level over the vessel. Figure 7. Figure 7 shows the magnetic bond detector, shows the indicator of the outer magnet, the donut float, and the inner magnet, and non-magnetic dip tube. Our conductive probe method. The figure 8 illustrates the conductive probe the level of the detection system. Consider the one more level of the detector. The spring operating a relay with the control of the liquid may make the contact with any of the electrodes. Electrical current flow with the become between electrode and ground. The current energy of the relay with the cover of the relay contacts open and cover depending on the shape of the process involved with the relay term. In turn, actuate the alarm and pump with the control valve, and all three. The typical system has 3 probes: low level probe, high level probe, high level alarm probe. This shows the controller, a conductive liquid, higher level of the high level alarm, high and low level probes. Different pressure level detector. Different pressure different pressure detector method. The liquid level of measurement of the pressure detector conducted in the bottom of the tank has been being monitored. High pressure cover the fluid within the tank with compared to low reference of the pressure of the usually atmospheric comparison. The tank with the pace for the differential pressure detector. Figure 9 illustrates the typical differential pressure detector attached to the open tank. Figure 9 open tank differential pressure detector. Show the maximum detectable level and minimum detectable level. The tank open to the atmosphere of liquid, and then from the bottom you'll see the differential pressure transmitter, high pressure connection, instrumental isolation valve, venting atmosphere low pressure connection. The tank is open to the atmosphere, therefore the necessary the only high pressure for the connection of the differential pressure transmitter. The low pressure inside is vented to the atmosphere, therefore the pressure differential hydrostatic head or weight of the liquid in the tank of the maximum level that can be measured with the differential pressure transmitter is determined the maximum height of the liquid above the transmitter. The minimum level that can be measured is determined by the point with which the transmitter is connected with the tank. Not all tanks and vessels open in the atmosphere. Many are totally enclosed with the present vapor. The steam of the escape can allow with all pressurization content of the tank of the measuring of the level of the tank that is pressurized on a level to become vapor pressure and vapor pressure of the liquid. Both the high pressure and low pressure side of the differential pressure transmitter must be connected in figure 10. Figure 10 show the closed tank drive reference leg, the drain valve, low and high pressure, the gates, and gas pressure, maximum detectable level, minimum detectable level of the liquid. Your high pressure connection connected with the tank with the low range value of the measure for the low pressure is connected with the reference level, connected with the or above the upper range of the value to be measured the reference level. The pressure for the gap of the vapor of the not liquid to permitted to remain with the reference level. The reference leg must be maintained dry so that there is no liquid head pressure for the low pressure side of the transmitter. High pressure side exposed with the hydrostatic head of the liquid plus the gas of the vapor pressure exerted with the liquid surface of the gas vapor pressure that equally applied to the low high pressure sides. Therefore, the output of the differential pressure transmitter is directly proportional to the hydrostatic pressure. Therefore, level in the tank. Whether the tank considerable fluid that you such seen with a slightly different arrangement within the application, considerable fluids and condensation greatly increase with the reference for the leg with the compensate for the effect with the reference leg filled with the same fluid. The tank liquid the reference leg applies the hydrostatic head with the high pressure side of the transmitter, the value of the level consistent with the along of the reference leg measured maintain full. If the pressure remains constant at any differential pressure in the due to change in the low pressure side of the transmitter. Figure 11. Figure 11 shows the closed tank on wet reference leg with a maximum detectable and minimum detectable level. The liquid fill connection wet reference leg with a high pressure, low pressure gates. Filled reference leg with a hydrostatic pressure, the high pressure side of the transmitter, for which is equal to the maximum level to measure for the differential pressure transmitter exposed equal to the pressure, high pressure, low pressure, liquid level to maximum. Therefore, the differential pressure is 0. The high tank level that goes down when the pressure level high, but the low pressure to go to the side goes down. Differential pressure increases as a result of the differential pressure in the transmitter output is inversely proportional proportional to the tank level. Summary: the different type of the level of instrument and present name of this chapter summarized below. Level of instrument summary. Then gave in the gauge glass method of the transparent tube at the top, at the bottom of the tank. Top and bottom and top connection not need of the tank open with the atmosphere. The tank of the distance with the height of the liquid of the tube will be equal to the height of the water in the tank. The operation of the ball flow. Simple. The ball flows down the top of the liquid of the tank. The liquid level changes. Float will fly with the chain of the position of the pointer tapped with the rotating shaft. The operating over the chain of the float is similar with the ball float, with except for the method of the position of the pointer with the connection with the position indication. Float connected with the rotating element of the chain with the weighted attach with the other end of the provide with the mean of the keeping the chain with the taut during change of the level. The magnetic mode bound with the mechanism with the magnetic float with the rise fall with the chain with the level. The float travel to the outside with the non-magnetic tube with the how the inner magnetic connect with the level indicator. Float rising with the fall with the outer magnet will attract the inner magnet cause with the inner magnet to fly with the flow within the vessel. The conductivity probe consists of one or more level detectors and operating relay and controller with the relay and controller. Where the liquid makes contact with any of the electrical current will flow between the electrode and ground. Thus, the current energy of the relay will consist of the relay with the contact open and closed depending on the state of the process involved. Relay term will actuate the alarm pump and control valve in all three. Differential pressure detector. The differential pressure detector connected to the bottom of the tank is mounted. The high pressure of the tank is compared to low reference pressure, usually atmospheric comparison. Typical pressure of the differential pressure detector. Alright, density compensation. Specific volume. Before explaining the examining example of which show the effect of the density of the specific volume, most of it is defined. Specific volume is defined with the volumetric per unit measurement shown in figure 3.1. Specific volume is equal to volume over mass. Specific volume is reciprocal over the density is shown with the equation 3. Specific volume is equal to 1 over the density. Specific volume of the same of the unit used when working with the vapors and steam of is vapors and steam that have low value density. For the application involved with the water and steam of the specific volume can be found in the saturated steam tables, which lift the specific volume of the water with the saturated heat with a different pressure temperature. The density of the steam of the liquid level will have the effect with the weight of the steam of the variable vapor bulb with the hydrostatic head pressure, the density of the stream and the vapor. They increase the weight, increase the cover, increase the hydrostatic head, even with the through actual level of the tank that has not changed. The larger the steam bubble, the greater the change in the hydrostatic head pressure. Figure 12 shows illustrate the vessel which with the water saturated boiling condition. Condensation pot water with 100 degrees Fahrenheit high and low pressures. Steam at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, 53.2 psi gauge. Electrical heater with a resistor water 350 degrees. A condensation pot with the top of the reference level of the temperature for the incorporate with the condensate for the steam of the maintaining reference level of the previously stated with the effect with the steam vapor, the pressure for the cancel with the differential pressure of the transmitter due to the effect with the pressure of the equally applied with the both of the low and high pressure side with the transmitter. The differential pressure for the transmitter is due only to the hydrostatic head pressure should stay in figure 3.3. Hydrostatic head pressure is equal to the density times the height. Reference leg with the temperature consideration with level of measure with the pressurized tank with the evaluated temperature for the dump of the additional consequences must be considered the temperature of the fluid, the tank, increase the density of the fluid, decrease the fluid density, decrease the fluid, expand with occupying more volume, even though the density is less. The mass of the fluid in the tank is the same, and the problem encountered is that the fluid of the tank is heated with the cool and density of the fluid chain with the reference level of the density remains relatively constant, which causes the indicated level to remain constant with the density of the fluid reference level depending on the ambient temperature of the room in which the tank is located, but therefore the relatively constant the independent tank temperature in the liquid of the tank of the chain with the temperature therefore density. Some of the mean of the density compensation must be incorporated within order to have an accurate indication of the tank level. This is probably encountered with the measuring of the pressurizer water level, the steam generated water level, the pressurized water reactors when measuring reactor vessel water level in boiling water reactors. Alright, your pressure level instrument. Figure 13 shows the typical pressure level of the system pressure and temperature for the held with a fairly constant during the normal operation. The differential pressure of the detector per level is calibrated with the pressure is high, but the effect of the density of the chain if it does not cover the pressure will not always high. It may be cooled down with a non-operating maintenance condition, which with the second of the differential pressure detector is calibrated with the level of measurement that low with the temperature of the replay with the normal differential pressure detector. The density is not really with the compensator, it has actually been being aligned out with the instrument calibration. Figure 13 shows the pressure level of the system. The spray line, steam, water, surge line, the reference leg, differential pressure ventilated. Low and high pressure differential pressure on the LP. Density compensation may also be accomplished through the electronic circuit. The sum of the system compensate with the density of the chamber automatically through the design of the level of the detection circuit. The other application compensate with the density of the material, manually adjusting input over the circuit. And the pressure cools down with the depressure during the heat up of the pressurization calibration chart with available the correct indication chain with the reference like temperature. Your steam generator level indicator. Figure 14 shows the typical steam generator level of the detection rate for the differential pressure of the detector image for the differential pressure for the separated pressure of the detector measure for the separated steam. Saturated steam for the saturation pressure for the proportional saturation temperature pressure signal the U for the correct for the differential pressure for the density of the electrical circuit. U for the pressure signal the compensate with the difference of the density between the reference level with the water with the steam the generator fluid. As the saturation temperature of the pressure increase with the density of the same, the general water will decrease with the differential pressure of the detector. This should indicate at a higher level, even though the differential pressure is not changed. The increase of the pressure for the increase of the output of the differential pressure of the level of the detector proportionate to the saturation pressure of the reflective of the chain of the actual level. Alright, summary. Density consumption is summarized below. The density consumption summarized. The vapor, the significant density that exists above the liquid, the hydrostatic pressure for the wet will add immediately to consider the accurate transmitter output is required that the density of the compensation accomplished using either electronic circuit with the pressure detector or input with the instrument calibration. Alright, level of detection circuitry. Remote indication. For the remote indication, after they are provided with the transmitter, the vital level of the information central with the location circuit for the control room with the level of the information for the coordinate with the elevated with the three main reasons that utilize for the remove of the level of the indication. The level measurements may be taken with the location and so far for the main facility. The level may be controlled with a long distance, but the point with the controlled level being measured for the may be in unsafe with the radioactive area. The figure 11, figure 15 show the illustrator of the block diagram. Typical differential pressure detected for the differential pressure transmitter amplifier level of indication. The differential pressure for the transmitter consider the diaphragm with the high pressure for the low pressure input of the output side. With the differential pressure chain of the diaphragm, move the transducer chain with the mechanical motion with the electrical signal. The electrical signaling general with the transducers amplified passed down level of the indicator level of the indication at a remote. Figure 12 is over the block diagram, differential pressure level, the detection center, the differential and pressure transmitter, transducer, high pressure, low pressure, amplifier, indication. Location usually relates some of the symptoms provided the alarm at a high level and also provides control function for position valve and the protective feature for the tripping pump. Environmental concern. The density of the fluid blues level is measured for the beginning to have a large effect of the large detection of the instrument. The primary effect of the level of strength of the instrument used live with the wet reference level of the instrument is probably the reference length, the temperature for the differential of the temperature fluid level the temperature of the fluid whose level is to be measured. For example, the level of the detection of the instrument with the boiler steam drum, the water level reference level leg, and the low temperature of the water of the steam drum, but therefore the more dense and more compensated for the instrument of the indicated steam drum level the air currently indicated. Ambient temperature variation affect the accuracy, reliability, level of detection of the instrument. The variation in ambient temperature can directly affect the resistance of the component of the instrumental circuitry and therefore affect the calibration of electric, and electronic equipment. They affect the temperature variation reduce the design of the circuitry to maintain the level of detection instrumentation proper environment that's present for the community will affect the aspect of the most electrical equipment, especially with electronic equipment. High humidity causes moisture to collect on the equipment. The moisture can cause the short circuit of the ground with the corrosion, which in turn can may damage the component. But the effect of due to the humidity control will maintain the equipment in proper environment. Some of the density of the fluid ambient temperature chain with the humidity with three factors which affect the accuracy and reliability level of detection, instrumentation level of detection, circuitry operation is summarized below. Your circuit operation, some of the three major regions of the utilize the remote level, the indication level of the measure may be taken in the location far from the main facility. The level to be controlled may be the long distance from the point of the control level being measured may be unsafe with the radioactive area. Basic block diagram, differential pressure level of the instrument with the differential pressure transmitter with the diaphragm, high pressure, low pressure, inputs, output with the side of the differential pressure chain with the diaphragm will move with the transducer chain with the mechanical motion electrical signaling amplifier implied with the electrical signal generated with the transducer send the level of the indicator display with the level of the indicator in a remote location. Alright, Department of Energy Fundamental Handbook with the Instrumentation and Control Module 4 Flow Detectors.